Hi, Shawn. It's Matt. Hey, everybody. I just want to let you know who I am. My name is Matt Benati. I'm the CEO and co-founder of a little company called Lead Gnome. We work with sales and marketing teams to help them improve their productivity by looking at a data source that almost no one looks at, reply emails. And I'm happy to say we're killing it. And part of why we're killing it is because of some practical skills. And so I'm really excited to be on this call and to talk about that kind of skills, practice, that kind of skill set that everybody, I think, really needs.
Awesome. So how does building skills different than the normal learning path, do you think, Matt?
Yeah, it's a great question. So, I think we're sort of trained from very young to go to school, right, and sit in a lecture or, much more passive kind of discussions. Maybe in high school and so on, we're doing some work, and in college we're doing some work, and that practical application of what you're learning really matters. But then we go to industry. What happens? We sit through a webinar. We have somebody come in and show us a bunch of slides. They train us in sales, and you don't practice. Well, if you don't, as a human, I know this is true for me. If I don't actually take something and start to work with it, truly work with it, forget it. It's, you don't use it, you lose it. I'm a firm believer in that. I've seen it before with myself and with others. And so bringing something in and applying it is very powerful.
Yeah, awesome. That brings up what I sent you a little something because, as someone who's building a company or business owner in the sales industry, working with sales teams and marketing teams, and then also, as you mentioned, you're the seller. You're the chief salesperson in your company.
Yeah.
How do you get better? And how can you relate that to what we're talking about today with the skills builder?
Oh, absolutely. So look, I've been in marketing and helping sales teams, even leading SDR teams, more like LDR teams, for a long time. And I've trained a whole bunch of folks, but I've never necessarily been on the front line of selling. Now as my own company, I'm always there, right? And, you hear the old adage, always be selling. Okay, well, whatever. But when you have to get on a sales call, right, and really talk to somebody and engage with them, and make sure that you're working with them, not just sending information at them. That's a completely different model. So I had to learn that actually from scratch with Lead Gnome. And it took a lot of practice. I forced myself to get on calls because I think I got to show this. Really, in here, one of the first things you talk about is mindset, mind skills. The first barrier for me was all about getting over that barrier in my own mind. Get on the call, flub it up, do whatever you need to do. And so I would use friendlies, right? I wouldn't go and pick somebody that I really wanted to deal with, right? I called up some friends and said, hey, let me talk to you and lead you through a discussion and really poke at you and consider it a sales discussion. And I did that over and over and over again until go ahead.
So your learning process was in the doing. Really, you learn by doing, and then through that doing process, you improved your skills.
There's no doubt. Maybe I'm different than most, but I don't think so. I think we learn through doing, right? I can read any number of books. And often I'll read a good sales book just before bed, so I go to bed early. There's great skills, there's great wisdom in those, but ultimately you've got to do it, right? And so I had to build the skills. The only way for me to do that, and I think for most people, let's be honest, we're empirical beasts, right? We have to do to learn. That's how we're built.
All right. So what do you think of the skills builder? I'm dying to know.
So I was very happy to get that. I love the card that came with it, by the way, I have to say. Another great skill is to be very personal, and you talk about that here. I think it's great. I think it truly is badass. It is clearly not a book. which I think is important, right? We can have fun with that as a phrase, but honestly, it's not a book, and that's important. Why? Because literally page after page is, let's do something, right? What hurdle do you need to get over? What skill do you think you need to build? Let's do something in a practical way and get you that practice so that you've built that skill, you can move on. And as I said, I had mindset as the first one for me, but I have to say that the next one was really coming up with, I wouldn't say I have completely templatized what I'm doing, but certainly outlined what I wanted to get across. And well, let me put it a different way. Less of what I wanted to get across and more about how I wanted to capture that person's attention and ask them about themselves, their environment. Why did they even care to look at my company? Mm-hmm. Right? Because many of these folks are reaching out to me. Why? And that was so important because we're human, right? When you get on a call, think about a date, right? Do you want to hear about the other person the whole time? No, you want to know they're interested in you, right? Right. Let's talk about me for a second. And so you need to do that when you call people. And I think that is a clear message in here, and one that I'm not so sure was a big issue for me. I usually ask a lot of questions from other people, but it was a clear reminder, and then how to weave that into more of a give and take, where my giving of information was not just so cold, it was warmed up by some of the questions that I had thought about ahead of time. Mm-hmm. Right? That's, you have to do that kind of stuff.
And doing those things are building skills, and building upon skills is all about habits, right? Getting the habit of asking questions, getting the habit of, understanding what questions to ask from this customer's perspective. And so those are all things that you have to practice so you get better at the skills so that they become habits. Tell me about how, so I'm really, the thing that I wanted to get across with also the BadAss Skills Builder series is that you can build habits and you can start stacking these habits to be successful. Tell me about how, for instance, when do you roll up and start focusing on a habit? How do you work that into your day?
It's a great question. So I reached out when I was learning and learning how to sell, I really was. I needed some help. And so I reached out to folks like Alice Hyman and Trish Bertuzzi, right? They were awesome. And both of them, one of the first things both of them said to me was, carve out time. Block it out. Right? You've got a ton of things to do as a CEO of a startup, and you do. But if you don't carve out time to go and really focus on selling, it'll never happen because you've got a million things to do. So the number one thing I can say, which really helped me, is carve out time. What does that do? It's a habit. Every day at 2 p.m., right, I was blocking off 2 hours to do one of two things. Either build up something I needed, a sales tool, or make calls. Mm-hmm. But I didn't put anything else in that time slot ever. And it worked, right? Because now I'm ready for those kinds of things. Now I'm getting a little bit more diverse because we've got a lot more energy coming in and a lot more people asking for my time from a sales perspective. So I'm kind of all over the place. But being able to build that habit in order to bring out some of the skills that I desperately needed at that time, it was a great way to do it. You were habitual, right? Why do we do a lot of the things we do? It's because that's how we learn. We form habits, and one of that is carving out time. As simple as that sounds, it's dramatic.
It's okay. So you brought up something that I think is really important too. It's oftentimes the most reasonable, the most effective answers to something are really simple solutions, because so often the best solution to a problem is to go back to the foundation, go back to the basics. So, that with the Skills Builder in particular, it's not a book, it's not an app, it's not some piece of technology that gives you
No.
a reminder or notification, you whoop, just right, delete. It's
Yep.
something that sits there on your desk. It's right there in front of you. So this is, I wanted to know about how you learn to sell and how you build skills and stuff, because it's so important as we go on and build more skills builders. The one that you're holding that I sent you in particular was about selling, full scope account selling from business
Right.
development, account management. What other skills builders, because you sell into companies with sales teams, what other skills builders do you think we should create to get out in the hands of companies?
Well, I'll tell you one thing that I do, and I'll leave it to you to figure out how to make this something. But I literally put stickies on my bathroom mirror.
Uh-huh.
And I do it the night before. So I think about things and I go, okay, boom, put that up there so that the next day I'm really focused. And if I'm thinking, especially early on in this company, I was thinking sales. How do I build up that skill? I would put up a sticky of, okay, these are literally the things that you need to accomplish in that 2 p.m. window, right? And so, those are just really cool, for me, cool reminders. It was it was physical. Because like you said, an app can beep, it can, I can turn it off, I can swipe it right or whatever and get rid of it. This was physically there and very, very helpful. So as soon as I woke up, I'm thinking about it now and I'm ready.
Well, and the sticky note or 3M Post-it, that business is not going anywhere anytime soon because of that very reason. We need that in your face reminder. So if you were to how would you advise that companies build skills for their sales team members and work in training and learn, put those sales skills in front of people in the future?
Yeah. So, I think those kinds of very quick, short, concise, big font, all that kind of stuff, reminder pages, whether it's a to-do list, which you can build on a daily basis, or something super critical, like here are the qualification questions you need to ask everybody in some way, right? You got to get this point across and get that information. Those are critical, right? Quick, easy, laminated card, post it right there or tape it to the desk.
Or a skills builder.
Or a skills builder, exactly. But these are the things we need. And it's, I work better in bullets. I don't like to read from scripts, right? Mm-hmm. But if I know the kinds of information I want to gather and the kinds of information I want to convey, that's all I need. Mm-hmm. And so in my past companies, I helped build, this is the irony of the whole thing, right? I've built this kind of stuff before where we've sent out these kinds of cards ahead of time and then invited the entire sales team to provide us mock calls in front of everybody else. Right? And yes, there's an amount of pressure there, but honestly, going through that gauntlet is so powerful because everybody gets, even the most senior salespeople sometimes get nervous, especially when it's a new product or whatever else. You got to get through that. And if we do it as a team, we get through it, I just think people, it's kind of, I don't know what to call it. It's a rite of passage for any salesperson, whether it's a new product or a new company. You have to master not a script, but conceptually, what are we going to talk about? Why do we want to talk about this? How do I engage you fully? And making a salesperson go through that at least once, critically important.
Yeah. So to summarize, it's about doing. Learning and improving is about doing. And a lot of people call it time in the seat. You need to have time in the seat. But you can impact how quickly you accelerate along that learning curve 100%. With your time in the seat if you are practicing. If you're practicing right. And doing and working to build your skills.
That's right. 100%.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Matt. Thanks for chatting with me. And thanks for giving me a little bit of feedback about the skills builder and learning how you build your skills or built your skills as you came into your sort of first official sales role
Yeah.
as the chief sales officer of your own company.
Yeah, exactly. And I do actually have this on my desk.
Good.
Honest to God, I do. And I was thumbing through it earlier today because I remembered one of the pieces in there, and it was actually another mindset one. And I looked at it and I said, yeah, actually, that is something I'm going to work on, because I had 3 calls earlier, and that was part of my doubling down and thinking, being aware of it and then practicing it.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This has been Matt Benati, founder, CEO, chief sales officer, etc. of Lead Gnome, which is a kick-ass, badass selling tool. I am still floored by the thought that I've spent years in the sales industry and never thought to mine and pay so much attention to out-of-office responders and reply emails. It's such a genius thing. Kudos to you for it.
Thank you.
All right, Matt. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Wait, let me ask you one more question. How can people find you?
Oh, easy. People can find us leadgnome.com, or just write to me, Matt@leadgnome.com.
Very good. All right. Now I'll stop.